Once upon a time, there was a couple named Adebayo and Folake. After they got married, they were not fortunate to conceive in time. It took them 5 years of crying and praying before they were able to give birth to their daughter, Enkay. After they gave birth to Enkay, they couldn't stop thanking God for giving them this miracle when all their hopes were lost. One beautiful evening, after they had eaten dinner and retired to bed, Enkay was lying down between them. Adebayo just kept staring at his little daughter and smiling. "Tell me the reason behind this smile tonight," Folake asked her husband, also smiling with him. "Who would have ever thought we would become parents someday? Do you remember all we went through?" Adebayo asked. "Can I ever forget? I was called a barren woman. We were mocked for 5 good years. I received different advice from various friends. Old women called me aside and tried to give me various solutions. Doctors had different things to say each time we went to them. People always pointed at me as I walked past. Even some women in the church used to mock me. I was referred to as the fair barren woman. I almost committed suicide after a fellow woman told me to my face that I was a man, and that was why I couldn't give my husband children." Folake said all this as tears rolled down her cheeks. It's okay. Those are in the past now. God has given us Enkay and blessed us with our bundle of joy," Adebayo said with a smile. "Her 7th birthday is coming next week. Our daughter will be 7 years old," Folake said with a smile. They both kept staring at Enkay, who was sleeping peacefully. Then Adebayo stretched his hand, turned off the light, and kissed his wife good night. The next day, Adebayo was so tangled at work that he forgot it was time to bring Enkay back from school. It was the weekend, and Adebayo was the one who usually picked Enkay up during weekends. It was already 40 minutes after dismissal, but Adebayo had not yet returned with Enkay. Folake decided to wait a bit longer, thinking it was traffic. After a few more minutes, she became worried and called her husband on the phone. Adebayo was shocked that almost an hour had flown by after Enkay's school dismissal time. He pleaded with his wife to quickly go get her because he was still very busy. Folake left what she was doing immediately and started heading towards Enkay's school. She was already 55 minutes late, and it took another 15 minutes to get to the school. Folake entered a bus, and, after a 5-minute drive, she got stuck in traffic. The traffic was so bad that Folake decided it was best to get off and find a bike that would be faster, because bike riders always have a way of maneuvering through the traffic. After walking for a while in haste, Folake stopped a bike. She tried hopping on the bike and then remembered she had forgotten her purse inside the bus she had entered earlier. Folake didn't know if she should continue to the school or go back to get her purse. She asked the bike rider to go while she went to retrieve her phone, because it was inside the purse. Folake started walking back in quick steps, looking for the bus she had entered. Meanwhile, back at the school, Enkay sat outside with some of her classmates, who were waiting for their parents to come and take them home. Some who had older siblings went home with them as parents came, taking their kids in numbers. Enkay only sat wondering if her father had forgotten her. "Enkay, your father is not coming today," one of her classmates asked as she left with her mother. Enkay was already tired of waiting. She was so hungry she didn't eat the whole day, because she didn't like the food her mother had prepared and put into her lunchbox. Enkay stood up and decided to go home alone. She left the school with her bag and lunchbox. After a few minutes of walking, her lunchbox fell from her hand and rolled into the main road. She tried going to pick it up. Someone tried calling out to Enkay because of the speeding car coming towards her. In haste, the man driving the car quickly stepped on his brakes, but it was already too late. He had knocked Enkay down. The man came down immediately and saw Enkay lying down almost lifeless and bleeding. Before people could come any closer, the man carried Anike into his car, reversed, and drove off in a hurry. As Folake walked back in quick steps to where she had alighted from the bus earlier, she noticed some bus drivers were turning around to follow another route because of the traffic ahead. She increased her pace, trying to find the bus she had come down from earlier, but she couldn't seem to identify it. It looked like the bus had turned around with the others. Folake carried her hand on her head in confusion. She had just lost her purse containing her phone. She wanted to call her husband but couldn't. She couldn't pay for a bike either because she had no money on her. She decided to walk down to the school and then call her husband with one of the teacher's phones. When she got to the school after so many minutes of walking under the scorching sun, Folake arrived in front of the school gate. She was sweating profusely like someone who had engaged in a marathon race. The environment was very calm, unlike the usual time when there were kids around the vicinity. Folake's only hope was that her daughter was inside the gate. Seeing that there was no padlock on it, she reached out to open the gate. She saw the headmistress coming out of the gate, holding a padlock to close it. "Good afternoon, ma," Folake greeted, trying to force a smile. "Good afternoon, my dear. Why are you sweating so much?" the headmistress asked, looking at Folake. "I'm sorry I'm so late. It seems everyone has left already?" Folake asked, looking around. "Yes, it's already 4 p.m. and everyone has left. Today is Friday and we close early," the headmistress answered. "What about my daughter?" Folake asked, fixing her gaze on the headmistress as she locked up the gate. "Your daughter? No one is here. Why not call your husband and see if he has her? He usually picks her up on Fridays," the headmistress answered. "I know my husband too well. He wouldn't ask me to come to take our daughter from school if he had already done that," Folake said, already having mixed feelings. "Why not call him?" the headmistress suggested. "That's the problem. I was in a hurry and forgot my purse with my phone inside the bus I'd entered earlier when there was traffic. My phone and the little money I had on me are all gone. I just wanted to come and pick up my daughter first before worrying about my phone." "Then how did you pay the bus driver when you came down?" "I had money in my hand already and Ma, my phone is not my problem. Where is my daughter? Where is Anike?" Folake asked, already having a bad feeling. "Take my phone and call your husband. Let's see if he took her," the headmistress said, dipping her hand into her bag and bringing out her phone. She gave it to Folake, who dialed Adebayo's number immediately. Adebayo picked up the call immediately. Folake asked him if he had taken their daughter from school. Adebayo told her he had been calling her, and she was not picking up. He wanted to know if they were back home. He couldn't understand what he was hearing over the phone, that his princess was missing. He told Folake he was coming over immediately. Adebayo hung up the call, and Folake could feel the tears building up in her eyes. "Where is my daughter?" Folake asked the headmistress in a teary voice. The headmistress was dumbfounded. She had no answer to the question. She calmed Folake down and called the teacher in charge of Anike's class. She asked the teacher to come back to the school as there was a case of a missing pupil. Folake didn't know where to start looking for her only daughter. Tears just kept rolling down her cheeks as she waited for the teacher in charge of Anike's class. She was restless and just kept looking around, hoping to lay her eyes on Anike. It took a few minutes, and the teacher came back to the school. She was asked who had taken Anike. The teacher said Anike was sitting with her best friend, Abeni, outside waiting for her father. She saw Abeni's mother coming to take Abeni. After a while, she didn't see Anike anymore. She thought her father had taken her. Folake asked the teacher to call Abeni's mother on the phone and find out if Anike had followed them. The teacher was scrolling down her contact list, looking for Abeni's mother's number, when Adebayo came down from the bike and walked towards the rest in a quick pace. A call came into the headmistress's phone. She picked it up. "Hello, madam. I think one of your students met with an accident a few minutes ago," the voice said over the phone. The headmistress shifted a bit to where she wouldn't be heard. She asked what the pupil looked like. The description fitted that of Enkay. She slowly brought down the phone. She didn't know how she was going to tell the couple that their daughter had met with an accident. Adebayo was already very angry with the headmistress. Folak was shouting at her teacher, telling her she wasn't doing her job well. They asked for the contact details of Enkay's best friend's mother. The teacher was almost through finding the number when Adebayo saw the headmistress trying to call someone. He quickly snatched the phone from her. "Hello, who is this?" Adebayo asked, breathing heavily. "Who are you?" the voice asked. "I'm the father of the girl you just described. Where is she?" Adebayo asked, trembling. "Your daughter was involved in an accident, and I took her to the hospital," the voice said. "What hospital?" Adebayo asked immediately. "I took her to General Hospital," the voice said, and Adebayo hung up the call. He grabbed his wife by the hand, and they headed towards General Hospital. The teacher and headmistress followed them. The man who had hit Enkay with his car was standing outside the hospital, waiting for any of Enkay's family members to show up. Adebayo and his wife got to the hospital after a few minutes, and they saw a man standing by his car and asked him where their daughter was. He pointed them to the emergency unit of the hospital. As they entered, they saw Enkay lying on the bed with bloodstains all over her body. She had oxygen tubes attached to her nose. Adebayo stood at the entrance, his heart sinking. Folake fell to her knees, her body shaking uncontrollably. A nurse came in and told them that Enkay needed an urgent operation to save her life. Adebayo quickly assured the nurse that they would do anything to save their daughter. The nurse asked them to wait for the doctor. Adebayo paced back and forth, his mind racing with fear and guilt. Folake held onto Enkay's hand, whispering prayers. The doctor finally came in and explained the situation. They needed to operate immediately. Adebayo signed the consent forms with trembling hands. After what felt like an eternity, the doctor came out of the operating room. "The surgery was successful. Your daughter is stable now, but she needs to stay under observation for a few days," the doctor said. Adebayo and Folake let out a sigh of relief, tears streaming down their faces. They thanked the doctor and went in to see their little girl. Enkay was still unconscious, but she looked peaceful. Adebayo held her tiny hand and whispered, "Daddy is here, my princess. Everything will be okay." Folake kissed her daughter's forehead, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. They stayed by Enkay's side, holding each other and finding strength in their love.